Thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to dig into the papers and let you know what is happening in Ghana and across the world. I have a surprise package for you. Right before we delve into the papers, let me say a very good morning to Samuel Mbura. Sam, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Samuel will be joining me. He's my colleague here, and he'll be joining me for the review. Okay, so let's get right down to it. I have the Daily Guide, the Daily Graphic, the Finder, Republic Press, the Custodian, and the BNFT. What papers do you have?
I also have the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, Daily Analyst. I have the Publisher, as well as the Daily Statesman.
Did you say Daily Analyst?
Yeah, I have.
You know, some of the papers keep coming from time to time.
Daily,
I'm not trying to denigrate any newspaper, but some of them hate you. But interesting. Let's start with the Ghanaian Times.
Yeah, so the Ghanaian Times comes with a picture of the Agric Minister, Dr. Free Akoto. Government earmarks $105 million rehab 3 dams to increase commercial production, and that's quite a good news. It's captured on page 15. And that's actually good news for the people up there. You know, government has been bent on improving agriculture, especially dry season. This $105 million is targeted to rehabilitate the Via and Tono Dam. These were dams that were constructed far back in 1986.
Exactly.
And they are really doing massively so well. So we hope that the rehabilitation will go as expected, and people there will benefit from it. So President Akufo-Addo...
And we know about how necessary, pardon my interjection, how important it is up north when it comes to irrigation.
You know, we actually have
a
older form of rainfall. It means we have one rainy season. So that was one of the reasons that promulgated the idea of one village, one dam. And it's actually a challenge that we are having up there. I hope that the rehabilitation... Actually, if government had pumped the monies of the one village, one dam, at least it could have given more job opportunities to the people. And I think that with this taught into the people, because these were recommendations from the Peasant Farmers Association, these were recommendations from people in the agriculture sector. Look, we have existing dams that have unused areas, acres of lands that we can exploit. So I think with this...
A quick one. You have lived in the Northern Belt for quite a while. Yeah. When it comes to the one village, one dam, initiative, how exciting is it for you, and from what you've seen? So what it was supposed to do versus what it is. What do you see, and what can you say about
these
it?
Dams were told that they were meant to augment, not in the form of dams.
Right.
But we know technically, I'm not a technical man, but we've been talking to those engineers in the field, and they have always expressed their views that if you want to construct a dam, you should actually construct a dam that is representative. But if you have a dam that cannot cater or run throughout the dry season, it's not something that we can say that is serving the purpose. Yes, we have areas that...
Because then it would be a white elephant.
Exactly. We have
during the dry season that you would need.
So these are actually, they have been constructed. However, the purpose of the construction is what we are still trying to battle with. Contractors were supposed to go back to site to ensure that there's value for money, because as it stands now, the dams as constructed do not...
Are they fit for purpose?
That is the problem we are facing now. They can't actually, feed large-scale farms, or in the case of Via and then the Tono Dam. So we're still calling on the government and the relevant authorities to make it a point, go back and get those dams fixed, because we're told that the dams were not completed as it stands now.
So now that we're having more money pumped into this entire enterprise, do you feel that would be the
Yes, some of us were of the school of thought that because I've done so much job working in the rural areas, and then we know the predicament of the farmers there. Dry season farming is the way to go.
Right.
And if you have the Palugu Dam coming to add to these existing dams, you have the Tono Dam, you have the Via Dam, which are strategically stationed or positioned in the region. You go towards the Western Belt, that is the Navrongo stretch, go to Sandema, they are feeding on the Tono Dam. You come to the central zone, Via is serving the Boga and then the Bongo areas. You go towards the eastern zone, they also rely on the white water to do the dry season farming.
And it calls to mind, the pledge that was made, the $1 billion Palugu Dam, which over the years, promise made, but because we were supposed to get it through IGFs, internally generated funds, or government of Ghana funds, that has also become another albatross around our neck, and that is what feeds into the situation where even.
So I must note that the various stages of work for the Palugu multi-purpose dam is still ongoing. The last time I checked, they had the environmental assessment, impact assessment, and then what they did was that they sought views from people in the affected areas, what they made of it, the things that they needed to do, and then concerns raised were had to do with the fact that they needed to compensate people, not in cash, but at least get sustainable.
That has been another thorny issue.
Sustainable, alternative livelihood for them.
Right.
If you don't do that, you just compensate them with the money.
Because farmland is going to be affected, that is arable land, places where people are actually living and all of that.
Yeah. So for now, the block work has not started. They're just doing the background works, and then we hope that it comes into fruition.
Right.
President Akufo-Addo, Mahama comment on Supreme Court verdict. He has been speaking on it, and the Deputy Lands Minister declares war on encroached quarry sites. These are the stories making headlines on the Ghanaian Times.
Let's quickly take a look at the Daily Graphic newspaper now. Voting rights of Deputy Speaker. Supreme Court settles matter. President Akufo-Addo, he has stated that the unanimous decision, 7-0, adopted by the Supreme Court in its ruling on the voting rights of Deputy Speakers should put the matter to bed. He indicated that Articles 102 and 104 of the Constitution made it absolutely clear, quote, in black and white, that the deputy speakers, when they were presiding, had the right to participate in the vote of the House. But how does this, rub off on you, Samuel? Because we have the standing orders of Parliament, and when you read from 101, 102, 104, they are basically cows what the Parliament, all through to the 7th Parliament, even to the 8th Parliament, has adopted, has employed. But I think owing to the changing dynamics where we have an even or hung Parliament with the independent member of Parliament for Fomena, also second Deputy Speaker, being the counterbalance. Yeah. Do you think all of this would have come up if we didn't have the shape of Parliament? And how do you feel about this ruling? Because people have said, for example, imagine Honourable Bagbin, Right Honourable Bagbin, is not around. Let's assume he is indisposed. Let's assume. Somehow the second Deputy Speaker, Isiama, is also, whether within the precincts of Parliament, not immediately available. The first Deputy Speaker is sitting. There is a matter on which a vote must be sought. You would think that, yes, they would need Isiama, but let's assume Isiama is not in there. He is in the chair. How does he leave the chair? Empty, so there's no one basically manning affairs.
I don't think we would have gotten to where we are. We wouldn't have gotten to the Supreme Court for interpretation of whatsoever. But I'm still waiting for the judgment. I'm not a lawyer, though. But at least we need to have a fair idea of what the jury have said in their judgment. Reasoning. Because we understand latest by today, the judgment will be out. But I've heard so many commentaries, and I think we need to at least, there's a way we can table our grievances, not through the violent ways. I've heard people make comments to the effect that, the eating of the food is in the pudding. We don't know how it will be, but we hope that we will not have another violent situation.
And that is a reality, because the minority end has said that. I mean, I've heard the likes of Sam George. He was here on the show, and he said that, whether likable or unlikable, he said that between now and 2025, there's not going to be any agreement between the two sides in Parliament, which itself gives some cause for concern. And here we are, and they are talking about the fact that, no, we do not subscribe to this. How can you be a referee and a player at the same time? How can you be the speaker or act as speaker and have a vote, casting vote at the same time?
But I think
any dynamics.
Yeah, I think the majority side should look at consensus building. It's not a matter of pushing your way through. If you want to do that, the minority will definitely come hard on you. So why do some commentaries are actually irritating the minority part of Parliament? Because you have a hung Parliament. Why would you want to force your way through? Build consensus. You're all humans. Why can't you meet with the leadership, meet with the backbenchers? Let's have an amicable way out. Other than this, Parliament has been reduced to something that some of us think that it is.
No, it's becoming comical. And I use my words without trying to denigrate the House. It's becoming comical. And if they fight again on the back of this e-levy thing, then I don't know. Because they've met with the Council of State and all of that. Religious groups have stepped in the last election. We had President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, if you recall, even when accepting victory and claiming it, said that with the sort of Parliament we have now, we must reach out for more consensus. I don't know, but I've not seen that in this 8th Parliament. But more stories in there. 10 medical officers declined posting to Upper East Region. Another great worry. Another great worry. And sometimes it is not the medical staff you have to blame. You go there and look at the conditions. I remember nurses in some part of the country at a point were complaining that where they were constantly getting robbed. Some of them were under retirement. So there are complaints, but we also need to put in place the right logistics to ensure that these people are safe. You don't want to go through medical school.
The last time I spoke with the Medical and Dental Council, the board chairman, Professor Kenya Mitchell, he made a point that the council does not have anything to do. They are only responsible for training and then the professional ethics of the medical field. However, we have to, put in place deliberate measures, policies, incentives to actually positively discriminate. If you are going up there, then these are some of the incentives that you are going to enjoy. I know there are some level of incentives so far, but it is not encouraging enough. But what is government doing? It says, okay, it has gotten to a point that he also thinks that we should motivate them. In even the advanced countries, we have, different packages for people who go to rural areas. Now, Benjamin, I think there's one thing that we are not adopting as a country. Look, we have what we call the health tourism. What is Ghana government doing about it? Deliberately, in our borders, the border towns. National security can look into it.
We're not deliberate about much.
Exactly. Look at the Volta region. Look at Upper East, Upper West. We have people who come from the sub-Saharan areas like Burkina Faso, Niger. During this dry season, for instance, this is where we have these reptiles attacking people, snakes and all.
Right.
You go to Burkina Faso, Upper East region is bordered to Burkina Faso in 3 strategic areas. Yeah. You go towards the Boko areas, go towards the northern part of, the north of the regional capital, Bongo to Namoi. Go in, people who will be thronging from Burkina Faso, coming from Mali to access healthcare in Ghana. And that money comes to us. So if we deliberately get strategic, modern health facilities in the border towns, it will bring people in.
And that's the whole point about
can be,
our nation's developmental woes. We are not strategic about much, if anything. Look at the NDPC, for example. We don't even have a national plan. We're operating, on autopilot. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going.
Exactly.
She's a very senior colleague. And this was one of the things she was bemoaning. Even today, the likes of China, the likes of Singapore have plans. Even those that are so, advanced. And we are here and we don't even have a plan. And it's all because of the politics.
Interesting, there's a hospital facility that has been completed in the Upper East Regional Capital Border. There was actually an agreement that started somewhere in the 1990s. It transcended into the Kufuor's administration. That's a Bogatanga hospital. In the Kufuor's administration, they did some work on it. The previous Mohammed's administration also did an extension. You go there, you have a beautiful edifice. But from 2016 till now, or 2017 till now, the project has been completed structurally, but it has not been furnished. Now, the Saudi government was supposed to give us $20 million in furnishing it. However, we are getting, the last time the regional minister told us that, it's like there's some edifices there. People are crowded in the walls. You go to the children's ward, you go to the maternity, and everything is in the mess. Imagine that facility is sitting there. You are not using it. They say there are no, equipment that you can put into structure.
So you need, basically, you have the logistics, at least. The edifice is there. All you need is a bit of logistical support, human resource. Anyway, let me wrap up. Africa CDC signs MOU with Pfizer for COVID-19 pills. On the international front, BJP party retains India's biggest state in key elections, pictured there, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There's also no progress on ceasefire after Kiev-Moscow talks, pictured there, Dmytro Kuleba, Foreign Affairs Minister for Ukraine, and of course, Sergei Lavrov, his counterpart. On the back page, Ketu North Municipal Hospital starts operation. So at least something that is working in this instance.
Speaking there, MPP says election record straight. It comes with a picture of John Boydo, the General Secretary of the NPP. Bagbane appoints NDC man acting speaker. So these are the stories on the Daily Guide there.
Would you like to get into that?
I think we have already exhausted some of these stories. But yesterday, there have been issues having to do with the MPP, the polling station elections, and they used the opportunity to talk about the Formina situation. There are about 25 polling stations that have not had the elections conducted. So they used the opportunity to address them. And then, there was an instance whereby the painted colors.
It's been repainted.
It has been repainted. But the indication I'm getting is that those who spearheaded the process will be sanctioned by the party. That's what the information I do have. Those who spearheaded the painting of the...
You imagine at this level that, these are likely card-bearing members of the party, and beyond that, maybe not much, or maybe a few holding some executive positions or something of the sort, past or present. What exactly can the party do to these people? Ban them from participating in further elections or something of the sort. What really can you do to such people?
Russia will 2 days ago, I was speaking to a friend in Russia. He works with one of the oil fields in Russia. I was asking him about the economic impact on the sanctions from the EU and other bodies that are concerned about the situation going on there. He says, look, everything is going on well in Russia. The Russian government is even considering bringing down the prices of fuel because they already anticipated, they prepared, they knew what was going to happen, so they don't have issues with fuel. However, sending money home is a challenge. The Russian ruble is actually indefinite.
The ruble, to play on words, the ruble has crumbled.
Yes.
It's been terrible. The stock exchange in Russia has tanked, and their currency. You see, we must read the fine lines between this. Russia, of course, wants to paint a picture to the world that everything is kosher, everything is fine in Russia. Everything is not fine in Russia. If you look at the United States stopped all forms of export or import of Russian coal, Russian energy, I'm talking about oil, gas, all of them. Look, Russia is feeling the pinch, but of course with Putin at the helm of affairs, he would want to paint the picture that everything is picture perfect, and they would want to do some of the things, but they are going to bleed. And you know the European Union is planning within the next year or two to cut down its reliance on Russian gas, for example, by 2/3. That's massive. In the end, Russia is going to lose out.
Okay, so Benjamin, that's why I think as a country, this fuel-fed vehicular policy that we are having, I'm talking about fossil fuel, why can't we explore other means? We have...
No, but it's expensive.
It's expensive.
I mean, they're expensive. Look, even why do you think Ukraine with that nuclear reactor, you know, the one that was unfortunately bombarded by the Russians, thankfully the reactors were not affected. Countries are moving away from that. But if you want more sustainable means of energy, they come with quite a bit of cost. And we here, we've not even been able to manage the fossil fuel bit to talk of moving on to other
At the initial state, it may be expensive, but we are looking at the long run, the benefits.
I agree.
I'm looking at the environment perspective as well, the continuous reliance on fossil fuel, the effect on greenhouse emission that is actually affecting our climate change. Perhaps there can be a roundtable discussion. The last time I listened to the Vice President, he spoke about the fact that, okay, there are processes to look into the issue of moving away from fossil fuel because of the international challenges and all that. And I think that is a right way for us to go.
It is the right way, but I can say that for now it will just be rhetoric. It will not be much more. It is the way to go. But you see, at some point, it also comes at a wrong time. We have now, since 2010 thereabouts, started exploring oil. Our black gold. You see that the move away from these fossil fuels in a way will also not be fair to some countries that are now starting on this journey, because what it means is that then you could have your reserves sitting there, not being put to much use. Of course, there will be a mix, an energy mix. You will not simply say fossil fuels, bye-bye. But
it's a gradual transition.
It means that some countries, especially in Africa, are going to bleed.
In more trouble, attempted contract killing at Thakwa. It captured a picture of Dr. George Akufo, Vampire IGP, and Nana Ponsa alias Okobe mining magnate and CEO of Okobe Mining Company Limited. Terrified residents demand swift justice, warned Ghana police not to cover up case. Parliament not beyond scrutiny. Akufo, though, fires from Dubai. Mass burial for Apiachi. Victims today. Quite a devastating situation there. The story is on page 34 and Service Agency.
Let's look at Republic Press. JIPS withdraws membership of sacked PPA boss. There's also easy to hold IPAC meeting. Interesting, because we know the dynamics when it comes to the major minority side in Parliament. The NDC, I speak of. Spare parts dealer remanded over fraud. Parliament not above the law. Akufo-Addo accepts Supreme Court decision as Mahama whines in disagreement. And Attorney General challenges Bakabomo's bail application. But speaking of this, spare part dealer remanded, it brings to mind the bit of...
To cringe, it had to do with the fact that these officers that were allegedly involved in this act are from the SWAT unit. Elite unit. The SWAT unit. We should be worried as a country. And the report has it that these recruits came from the same training school. Is there something wrong from the SWAT force allegedly involved in such acts? We should be worried. Look, these are also lower rank police officers. These are constables. I think there's one Lance Corporal that is part of the alleged robbery incident. But if you look about 3 of them are constables. These are new recruits into the system. So it tells you, it gives you the idea of the type of people we put into the service.
And the
That
type
means-
of people we're
Exactly.
putting into the service is also about the political strings to which they are tied. NDC MPP, we keep infiltrating our services. It's not about quality, it's about whom you know, it's about your political, I don't know. There was an instance where I lived in a neighborhood and everyone knew that Asemesi was a criminal.
Yeah.
Basically, he had been reported many times, even for robbery and the rest. You would find him on the streets. So people gave up.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, this person under some administration is a police officer, and you ask yourself, how does this person
get into the service? That's a problem. So that is why my emphasis is on the lower rank. Because if lower rank officers go into the service with this mindset, we should be at risk. We should be worried as a country. I heard some security analysts talking about disbanding the SWAT unit. It's only a call, but disbanding the SWAT unit is going to cost us as a country.
Dr. Bonner has called
Yeah, so the point is that
but I think it would be better to feel the pain of that than continue having them there. And I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying that if you have these criminal elements in there,
is in charge of when there is a need to exert maximum force.
Exactly.
They disperse crowd. They're in charge of crowd control. So if you tell us that disband the SWAT unit in case there's a challenge, which unit will go? Is it a case that you use it?
I guess when there's also a need to, a la DSP Azugu, when there's a need to, combat mosquitoes, we use them sometimes.
That's quite interesting, though. Now the Delhi Statesman has a story of the Supreme Court. It's right. President speaks on Deputy Speaker's voting rights. MPP to discipline errant officers and members, and then VOMO were not cooperating with investigation. So we have already spoken about these stories, but in terms of Chelsea...
So the bit in there, I think now for matches, they kind of have only, is it £20,000 or something of the sort, a bus. I mean, it's becoming a real crunch for Chelsea. They cannot sell their jerseys. I think names are off and all of that.
You can get transfers into the...
I'm not a Chelsea fan. I'm a Manchester United fan. But right now, you have to feel for Chelsea and what they are going to.
Chairman Wuntumi is going to buy.
Chairman Wuntumi is going to do what?
Chelsea.
I saw that statement. I'm sorry, but wait, you let me leave.
He has a social capital. Why can't he buy? He has
3.1 million.
Yeah, 3 billion.
What?
Yeah,
dollars.
I mean, not dollars. We're talking about pounds or so. So if it's a case that he's talking about he's dwelling on his social capital, he has other business moguls that can help him. Why not? It's possible he can buy. But I understand the bid for Chelsea has been actually. I read on Gary Al Smith's statue. He spoke about the fact that the bidding has been put in with the management of Chelsea. So let's see how.
Not to denigrate him, but if he does, well, good for us. Good for all of us. Final story, the final newspaper. From a cleaner to car engine specialist, she dreams of owning her own garage. It has to do with Eva Sikapa Kaki. I think you should check out the story in the Finder newspaper. Well, it's a wrap. Up next, we bring you everything from the sporting world. But Sam, thank you so much for joining this morning.
Thank you.
God bless.
Right.
Sports up next.